Welcome to this tutorial. In this video, we'll create an advanced door animation complete with sound effects. This is a compact video packed with useful tips, so be sure to stick around until the end. Let's jump into Blender. I've designed a simple door and separated each movable part to make animation easier. I also grouped the door faces and named them appropriately, which will help us assign materials later in Unreal Engine. We'll use Smart UV mapping and export the door as a GLTF file using the default settings. Now, let's switch over to Unreal Engine 5. First, we need to import our door file. You can either right-click to import or simply drag it from your PC into the content browser. Once imported, we'll start assigning the materials I created earlier. Next, let's check the door's collision settings. It's simple. There are two lines that prevent us from walking through the door. To edit this, right-click on the frame, search for Complexity, and change it to Use Complex Collision as Simple. Don't forget to hit Ctrl+S to save. Now, let's turn off the collision view. If we look at the pivot point, we can see it's not aligned with the door. Let's go into Modeling Mode, then Xform, and select Edit Pivot Point. We can use the default settings and hold Ctrl to snap it into place. We'll do the same for both handles. Now our door is ready to be converted into a blueprint. Select all components and choose Convert Selection to Blueprint class, then select Harvest Components. Here we are in the event graph. Let's start working on the animation. We'll use the E key to open and close the door. To do this, search for Set Relative Rotation. It may show a lot of options, so dragging the door component will help us find it easily. We'll set it to rotate -90 degrees on the Z-axis. Since this isn't a character, we need to enable inputs for this blueprint. Search for Get Player Controller, then enable input and make sure to attach it correctly. Let's compile and test it out. As you can see, it animates in a single frame and the handles and latch aren't attached yet. Let's fix that so they move together. Next, we'll add a timeline function to animate the door over a time window. Double-click to add a float track. We'll create 2 points. The first point should be 0, and the door will animate over 1.5 seconds with the second point set to 1. Select both points and set them to auto for easy easing. Now, if we attach it like this, the door will move from 0 to 1 degree. We need to multiply by -90. Let's compile and test again. Perfect. Let's add a multigate and connect it to play and reverse, allowing us to open and close the door. We'll repeat this process for the handles. Adding 3 points since the handle should return to its original position. Compile and test it out. The total time of the animation should be consistent for all door components. If we look at these simple lines representing the animation time, going forward is fine, but reversing isn't matching. We need to add some blank time to synchronize everything. Let's adjust the length to 1.5 seconds and ensure the door animation starts after the handle animation. Now, let's do the same for the latch. Instead of rotating, we'll move it, so we'll use Set Relative Location. Let's turn off the visibility for the frames to see the latch better. Setting X, Y, and Z to 0 will center the latch in the world, and we don't want that. We'll have to copy its original Y-axis position and the new Y-axis position. We will use lerp function and paste the original and the new location for Y-axis. We'll get the relative location and attach the X and Z axis. Now it's working fine. Currently, if we press E anywhere, the door opens. We want it to open only when we're close. So let's add a box collision. We'll adjust its location and size. In the settings, we can add functions for when a character collides with the box and when the player leaves it. Now, let's add a Boolean variable. When we get close to the door, it will be set to true. When we move away, it will be false. We'll use a branch function to enable the character to open the door only when they're close. Make sure to compile and set the default to false. Now it works perfectly. Next, let's create a widget blueprint. We'll add a canvas for the screen and adjust its size accordingly. Then, we'll add another centered canvas and place text inside it. Now, let's go back to the door and add the widget, assigning the widget class we just created. If we compile it like this, it will be static text, so we need to set it to screen instead of world. However, it's currently visible from anywhere on the map, so we'll set its visibility to toggle on and off when we get close to the door. We'll use the same tool as before and turn off visibility when the game begins. Let's organize everything now. We'll add animation to the widget by selecting the second canvas and adding an animation. We can create a simple animation using an overshoot and jumpy style. We'll repeat this process to add another loopable animation. Ensuring the number of loops is set to 0 for infinite playback. Now, let's start working on the sound. We'll use spawn audio at location. I've created 2 sounds earlier, ensuring they're both 1.5 seconds long to keep everything in sync. Everything works well, but when I open and close the door quickly, it doesn't look quite right. If we wanted to take a shortcut, we could make the door only fully open and fully close, but let's continue for the sake of learning. We'll need to add a timeline to control the starting time. Ensure the duration and value are set to 1.5 seconds with a straight line. The sound issue arises because the timeline tries to update the audio every frame, so we need to separate the timeline and audio spawning. Playing will work fine, but reversing won't because it will ask the audio to start at 1.5 seconds, which isn't feasible. We'll use a simple equation to invert it. It's working well now, but we need to stop the audio when we open and close the door quickly. Everything is fine in the game, but these errors is because audio is auto-destroyed when it's completed. So let's turn off the auto-destroy option. Again, one issue for same reason. Let's add a simple solution to make it not try to stop the audio first time before it even spawns. Make sure to like and subscribe for more tutorials like this.